Hello. And yeah, this is basically a rant video. I I have an issue with, everything that's going on in the world in general, but also I want to be honest. I really like people. I really love people. Humans in general. I love them. What I have a distaste for and dislike, almost a visceral hate and passion, like it is their dogmatic beliefs, their old ways of thinking. Recently I have been thinking back and reflecting specifically on what people believe about the mental health system. People who glorify psychiatrists, psychologists, and like to be the know-all of, the mental health system. Like, are you serious? Like, people are sheep. Like, and yes, I am going to say, you who are watching this, you too are kind of sheep-like. I'm going to say this, and then you go, oh, but aren't you the... I was raised to be sheep. Here's the thing. I admit to be a very sheep-like person. It's like I am the fluffiest sheep around. Like, I practicing owning these things. But no, everyone in spiritual communities, they can't admit, like, or in health, mental health field, or people who have an interest in psychology, they can't admit to being bad things, or they can't admit to having the thoughts or negative or uncomfortable or anything that is perceived as negative, like thoughts or ways of thinking. So when you say, oh, you're, unconscious or you're unaware, people go, that's rude, why the fuck do you say that? Like, here's the thing. I come from a space of extreme unawareness. I come from a space of extreme unconsciousness. I was forced, and like this unconsciousness and unawareness was taught to me. I was taught to avoid myself. I was taught to escape myself. I was taught to run away. I'm an expert at avoiding myself, numbing myself, distracting myself. I know how it feels, what the sensations are when you run away. And considering I have been practicing awareness, a sense of self, and being conscious of what I am feeling and thinking, sometimes I have a hate for my own ways of thinking. But honestly, sometimes I wonder if it is even me. Let's just be honest, most people on the planet, they hate what they are thinking. People judge themselves for thinking what they are thinking. If people think something, something uncomfortable or negative, they just go, shush, no, don't think like this. People basically suppress themselves on a daily basis, and that's where they want to be. And if I was to claim that people do this to someone's face specifically, they would go, I don't know, no. I don't do that. They would deny it. They would deny anything that was associated with any negativity with them at all. I can also tell you from my personal experience, I was with people who denied they denied. I was with people who basically had these inception kind of bubble realities around them, in which they denied their denial, they suppressed their suppression, they denied that they suppressed everything, they denied like truth, they denied honesty, they denied like their denial again. Like, do you know how insane amount of mental unconsciousness and unawareness it is when you deny your own denial, that you aren't even aware, that you have little to no awareness of like your own denial, because you deny it, because you want to look good in front of others, and so you cannot even admit or to present that you're denying anything. I am furious with this. It is obvious to me. Do you know how much I have been questioning my own denial, my own sense of self? Sometimes I wonder if I am like the only person on earth who is questioning these things. Like, I mean, let's just be honest. Are you practicing questioning your own thinkings, your own beliefs, and then to actually feel a sense of progress forward? Like, be honest. Sink into that question for a moment. I'm angry with society. I'm pissed off at the way that everyone just believe what we have been told. We are basically children, babies who have been fed. We are basically like sponges who have been fed dirty water, and we don't even question our own spongy brain that absorbed this information. We were never taught to. We were never taught to question what kind of information our spongy brains or body and being absorbed when we were babies and children. Honestly, in many cases, I have a feeling depending on what kind of person and situation I am in, I have seen it even online. One time, a person kind of unwillingly or unawareingly went into a very deep subconscious state. It was almost meditative. And afterwards, they told me they had no idea what they did, how they expressed, how they spoke when they were in that state. I have a feeling, depending on the situation and the people I can interact with, I can do that. I can make people get into their subconscious, unless you have a relatively strong sense of self, a strong sense of desire, or a strong sense of wanting or drivenness for something. Unless you have that, I will dominate your psyche and subconscious. I can even put pressure, immense pressure on people's ways of thinking. I get little to no credit, and people barely recognize this, but it has happened before. That if I intuitively know what is going on, if people have a mental defense excuse or for avoiding that, I can put immense amount of mental pressure on them. And when I do this, I have noticed these people become semi-unaware of what they are doing, because the pressure I am putting on their mentality is conscious focus, pure conscious willingness to just be there, to be close. Anyone who has kind of an unwanting or a wanting to be elsewhere, to never be with that mentality or whatever it is they are avoiding, they will feel an excruciating amount of pressure. Most people treat me as if I'm nobody, I'm nothing. That is my neglect trauma anyway. Fuck. I fucking hate it. The kind of neglect trauma I have been through. So many things I have actually succeeded in resolving and moving forward with. Most people would never recognize it. Most people are too unaware. And I am escaping myself now at the moment. By talking. I fucking hate being seen as vulnerable. I fucking hate being seen as vulnerable. Because most of the time I am being gaslit. Most of the time people have no idea how they are treating me. Most of the time people have little to no idea what they are doing with themselves. I mean, honestly, can you say 100% that you know what you're doing with your own body, your own senses, your own feelings and thoughts? And if you say, oh, but can't you say this? Can't you say that you know 100%? Fuck no. Hell no. I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's honesty. I admit to this. I am no healer who just claims, oh, but you can come to me if you want to be healed, to reach this perfect health state you wish for. No, fuck that. Fuck all of it. Fuck that. I have a strong sense of intuitive knowing though. This is what I base most of my healing on. And I can tell you, my healing not healing, but I do have healing capacity too, but it ain't that, let's say, routinely reliable. Let's call it just a strong intuitive feeling. And this intuitive feeling, it actually does know. And most of the time, I'd actually say 90 to 100% of the time, it hits correctly. It sees correctly what is going on. And as of yet, I can rarely find any moments that this intuitive knowing has been wrong. I have never experienced this intuitive knowing to fail me, or whatever I am perceiving. And I mean, this is rare. And then if you go, oh, but if you, like, here's the thing, this intuitive knowing, it is just that. It is an intuitive, it is a flash of insight, a flash of information that only applies in specific situations at the specific moment in time. I cannot consciously control this. This intuitive knowing is mostly beneficial. At the given moment, I get that flash of information, which is actually good. It is a sense of flow that is applying. It is applying to where I am at that given moment. And apparently most people have no idea what flow even is. And this is like another thing. People's ways of thinking is so boxed in. People who claim, oh, but I have these, attachment styles. Like, I've seen people going like, oh, I have anxious attachment style. Oh, I have this attachment style. That's just another label. That's another label. Another label a person gave to you, which themselves had a label of psychologist or something like that. Whatever the label they have been given, like, it was basically a label person giving you a label. That's what they are. They are label people who gives other people labels. That's actually kind of good. And like, most people buy into this. It's like, yay, I got a label! And they eat it up. People eat it up. That they got a label and they feel freakishly happy about it. And they believe it wholeheartedly, whole-brainlingly. In any case. And I mean, this is me ranting emotionally and mentally, by the way. Why? Because in my opinion, it is fucking stupid. Like, it is so boxed in ways of thinking that never allows for stretching to expand. It's the same. I have been questioning the label of autism and the Asperger label I got. I question this, and most people go, but don't you have this label then? Drop everything you thought you knew about these fucking labels. I am so sick and tired of it. Like, are you so identified with these boxed in labels? It's like, imagine there were a bunch of boxes in front of you, and on each one of them there was a name tag. One of these tags were autism. One of these were, let's call it depression. Let's call another label borderline. Another box is called anxiety attachment style, whatever. And people are so obsessed with these different boxes, and if the label givers or the label people, which are the psychiatrists or psychologists in this case, when they is with their client and say, you know what, I think this box, I think you should go into this box with the name of depression, or and you may also fit into this box too of this kind of whatever box it is. And then when they open the box and put you there, the client goes, I got a label. I feel belonging because I belong in this box. They opened the box for me and then I got put in there. And I love it. That's basically how easy most people buy into these labels or boxed in thinkings. Why do you think I question it? Because I never wanted to be fit in such a box. I never identified myself of being that label. And even if I did for a moment in my life, I question it. I question like what these labels meant to me. Let's call this is a phenomenon of label identification sickness. A mental label identification sickness. In my opinion, this is sick when people are so readily willing to identify themselves to be in any of these named boxes that they forget their sense of self. And if someone were to present, this is part of your sense of self now, and you are this box. They're basically, you are no other thing than only this box I put you in. That is basically what most people are doing. And most people eat it up. They think they are being helped when they are being put in these boxes. And yes, for a short moment, or for a moment, it can feel very validating. But I question it. I questioned why. Because feelings of validation had nothing to do with what someone told me, what kind of label I had. Emotions and feelings always want to be seen as valid. And these feelings will manipulate themselves to be shown to the world in any way they can. Even if it means to be so freakishly unconscious of what you're doing mentally, that mentally you can have beliefs that just validate your existence. There are much more direct ways of emotional validation that never involved being placed in an identity box, which you just are when someone gave that identity to you. You are many other things than just these boxes people place you in. You are the meaning you want to be. You are the very box you place yourself in. And if you want to place your own box into someone else's hands, or if you want to place the power of choice to be able to choose what kind of box you put yourself in into someone else's hands, that is your choice. You are very much free to do so. I basically chose to get out of that mentality, to question society, to question psychologists, to question the very system that never actually helped me with the deepest of my traumas. I can fucking teach people. But nobody wants it. So many times. I have, to be honest, I don't want it. I don't want to teach stupid people when they never want to learn. This is, it's impossible. Not even spiritual guides can teach you anything when there is a choice to stay unwilling to learn. Or to stay in such a space where you don't want to learn anything. Nobody can teach you when your focus is away from learning. You have got to be willing to learn something in order to actually progress. Because if you, and this is kind of the space I was raised with. People unwilling to teach me. And then you go, oh, but then you are unwilling to learn. You are right. I was unwilling to learn many things from my parents, my family, and I was also unwilling to learn in school. Then what am I able to teach? I can teach you how humans think. I can teach you how humans interact with learning, how they interact when it comes to life, being alive. But most people have chosen that most people are in a state where they don't even know what they're doing. Most people don't even know what life to them is. And most people associate life and living with eating lots of meat, eating until they puke, drinking alcohol until they feel so numbed out they can't even feel anything. Is that life? Is life... Let's think logically about this for a second. Is life, when you want to celebrate and let go of everything? Let's think about this. Have you seen movies or TV series where one person goes, you have only one day left to live? What are most people's thoughts? I'm going to eat myself full of junk foods. I'm going just to unconsciously just have sex with anyone who is willing. That's absurd to me. So that is basically when most people get pressured enough, they go back to their, what society has been doing unhealthily. Honestly, and then most people go, oh, but why? What would you do with your last day? Appreciate life. To self-reflect. As far as I can tell at the moment, my life has been good. I have done everything I can to my current awareness in the past, current, and future knowledge. If it was my last day to be alive, I would be mostly do nothing different. And this is the state most people have got to reach. Because if what you are doing or how you are living at the moment when someone is asking that question of what you would do on your last day of life, if that thing was different than how you actually lived your life, that is very telling of how unaware that you are, and how much subconsciously that is so hidden from your conscious view of what you would actually want to do if you got freedom to do and act out any thought, any feeling, anything at all. And this is actually what terrifies me. That most people have little to no awareness of their subconscious that has never been questioned, that has never been consciously focused on, that has never been explored. Especially when it comes to these negative things that everyone has been taught to avoid. It terrifies the shit out of me. Because most people have no idea of these subconscious spaces. And if people got the freedom to act these hidden subconscious spaces out with no consequences whatsoever, the world would be in ruin. The world would be in chaos. The world would basically die. Humans would perish extremely quickly, because what do we have hidden subconsciously? These dogmatic, hidden old beliefs that never freaking gave a damn about humane behaviors. Trust me. And this is one of the reasons that when I moved out, away from my parents, and started eventually on my journey to question myself and explore my psyche more, I disciplined myself to be very still. I disciplined myself to never move when I interacted with some of these intense, negative, harmful, subconscious mental spaces. Because these spaces are extremely dark, extremely uncaring. And if someone were to take an action on these spaces, they could easily kill themselves, or harm others. These are very intense things. I know what I'm doing. I know what kind of healing I need. I have practiced giving that to myself. You know what? I have freaking succeeded in many, many, many topics. But nobody notices. Because they don't even want to face these intense darkness or depths themselves. What the fuck am I even doing here on Earth? When no one wants to listen to me. No one wants to listen to the subtle, hidden, deeper voice that actually may know something. No, fuck no. People hate that. People want to bulldoze it. People want to be harsh towards it. People hate babies. When they hear a baby screaming, people just go, shh. Or they force feed that baby. They just, because they don't know why the baby is screaming. So when the baby is screaming, they just go, oh, you got to be hungry. I got to force feed you. Because that's, what most people think what a baby wants when they scream. That they just want food. Most people don't even know what a hug is. Most people have no idea what a hug and just gently holding a baby is. They have no idea. Because humans have never been taught. We live in a moment in time where people have no idea of what a basic human need even is. And one of these basic human needs are closeness. Like, to be close. To be together. It pisses me off that if I was to present